Do you wake up with a tight chest, a racing mind, and a feeling that something terrible is about to happen? Anxiety isn't just a worry. It's a silent thief, stealing your peace, your sleep, and your connection with God. If you feel you're at your emotional limit, I have a revelation for you. The Bible is the ultimate manual for healing your soul. Today, I'll show you how biblical figures overcame panic attacks and depression using spiritual keys. I'll reveal why Elijah's secret under the broom tree is the answer to your exhaustion, and how the math of peace in Philippians can reset your brain today. Stay with me until the end. The final chapter will turn your insomnia into deep rest. Write in the comments right now, "My peace is back," to activate this word and tell the algorithm you accept this breakthrough. Many think anxiety is a lack of faith, but look at the prophet Elijah. He had just seen fire fall from heaven, yet a threat from Jezebel threw him into a deep panic. He fled to the desert and asked to die. Does that sound familiar? Anxiety often hits after a great victory when your emotional energy is gone. Elijah was suffering from burnout. God didn't give him a sermon, He gave him food and rest. The first lesson to overcome anxiety is understanding your limits. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is sleep and nourish your body. Healing begins when you stop blaming yourself for being tired. Elijah thought he was alone, and isolation fuels anxiety. God revealed 7,000 others who hadn't bowed. Stop hiding in the cave. God wants to speak to you in a gentle whisper, not in the noise of your worries. Learning to silence the outside world is the first key to hearing the voice that calms the inner storm. Imagine the scene. The sky is pitch black, the wind is howling like a wounded animal, and massive waves are crashing over the sides of a small wooden boat. The disciples, many of whom were professional fishermen, were absolutely terrified. They weren't just worried, they were in a full-blown panic attack. In the middle of this chaos, where was Jesus? He was in the back of the boat, sleeping on a cushion. The Bible mentions that cushion for a reason. It shows that his rest was intentional and comfortable, even while the world around him was shaking. This is the ultimate clash between two psychologies, the psychology of the storm and the psychology of the kingdom. The disciples cried out, Teacher, don't you care if we drown? This is the exact language of anxiety. Anxiety always tries to convince you that God has forgotten you, that He is indifferent to your pain, and that your boat is about to sink. But notice Jesus' reaction. He didn't wake up and start panicking with them. He didn't ask for a bucket to help scoop out the water. He stood up with authority and spoke directly to the source of the fear. He said, "Peace, be still." Your anxiety is often born from trying to control things that are beyond your reach. You try to control the economy, your boss's opinion, or your children's future. When you realize, you can't control the wind, your brain enters survival mode. But peace is not the absence of the storm, it is the presence of authority over it. Jesus didn't stop the storm because the disciples asked nicely. He stopped it to show them that as long as He is in the boat, the destination is guaranteed. If your boat hasn't sunk yet, it's because the master of the sea is on board with you. Write now in the comments, "Jesus is in my boat," and feel the weight leave your shoulders as you transfer the helm to His hands. Your nervous system was not designed to carry the weight of the universe. That's His job. Now let's travel from the sea to a dark, damp Roman prison cell. The Apostle Paul is in chains, facing a possible death sentence. Yet it is from this place of extreme restriction that he writes the most famous manual for emotional health in history, Philippians. He says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." This isn't just a religious platitude, this is a technical formula for neuro-spiritual healing. Modern neuroscience has discovered something fascinating. The human brain cannot physically experience high levels of gratitude and high levels of anxiety at the exact same moment. They are like fire and water. When you intentionally start Thanksgiving, thanking God for the air in your lungs, for the buckets of water you successfully carried today, for the small mercies that kept you standing, you are essentially installing an antivirus in your mind. This is why Paul says that the peace of God will guard your heart and mind. The Greek word used here for guard refers to a military garrison. Imagine a line of elite soldiers standing at the gates of your thoughts, blocking every what if and every intrusive thought that tries to enter. Anxiety is an expert at SEO for your soul. It highlights the worst-case scenarios and makes them rank number 1 in your mind. But when you apply the math of peace, prayer, plus petition, plus thanksgiving, you reset the algorithm of your heart. Stop feeding the monster of what if. Replace what if I lose my job with the Lord has helped me thus far. Replace what if I never get better with He is the Lord who heals me. Every time you choose gratitude over worry, you are telling your brain that the King is still on the throne. You are moving from a state of survival to a state of surrender. And in surrender, the soldier of peace takes his post. Like fire and water. Think about the servants at the wedding in Cana. They were facing a crisis. They ran out of wine. Jesus tells them to fill 6 massive stone jars with water. To fill those jars to the brim, scholars estimate they had to make at least 15 trips back and forth to the well. Imagine the frustration of those servants. They needed a miracle, they needed wine, but Jesus sent them to do a repetitive, exhausting task. Go get more water. On the 5th trip, nothing happened. On the 10th trip, the water was still just water. They were tired, their backs were aching, and their anxiety was telling them, this is a waste of time, the party is ruined. But they didn't stop. They made the 15th trip, they filled the jars to the brim. And it was only when they were full that the miracle occurred. Anxiety hates the process. It wants the wine of healing right now, but God often sends you to the well for more water. Your healing is being fermented in the consistency of your daily obedience. Every prayer you whisper when you're exhausted, every time you choose to trust despite the pain, that's a bucket of water in your jar. Don't give up on your 14th trip. You are closer to the wine than you think. Go to the brim. Your journey through the desert of anxiety ends here. Elijah found rest, the disciples reached the other side, and Paul finished his race with joy. The same God who looked after them is watching over you right now. If you are ready to stop carrying the weight of tomorrow and trust the Master's process today, write to the brim in the comments to signal your breakthrough to the heavens. Share this video with a friend who is struggling. Be the salt that brings flavor and healing to their life. For more on how to hear God's voice in the silence, click the video on your screen now. Thank you for watching Talking to Jesus. May His peace guard your heart today and forever.